And we are live. What is
So,
up with people? My camera all jacked up, of course. Of course, without fail.
well, welcome back to another live with the Warriors Way Home. I am the co-host Edmund with my boy Travis here.
What up, guys? What up, guys? Hope you guys are all doing well, better than good, better than great. Been fighting your fight all week and winning those battles.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Every day, as my dad says, every day above ground is a good day. So if you're still able to, walk around in this crazy mess, you're doing a good job. You're able to attack your goals at the route that is best suited for you. Because I know everybody can't just jump into their thing, but every day is a battle. And as long as we're able to breathe and get to the next day, that's a win.
Yep. And speaking of hopping, we're gonna hop right into this because we got a hot topic today. We are talking about something that most of us have probably been hearing about. It has to do with the Shannon Sharpe controversy going on. You know, we were talking about $50 million being at stake because of some decisions that he decided to make in the past that have come back to bite him in the ass
Mm-hmm.
now.
They should have said
So
like $50 million.
I thought about it, but I figured might have thought it might be like copyright infringement or something like that. So I don't want us to get struck down on the YouTube. They're getting tight, hot and tight about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. You know what else was no, not to that.
That's what got him into this.
Exactly,
See.
exactly.
Look, the
This,
fact that you even thought that just shows that men think with their dicks too much.
yeah. Hey, look, this tight end is in trouble. Okay, this tight end's in a tight spot because he, like you said, he let his, let's call it power. I want to say power or fame, whatever, riches.
Let his dick.
He let his
It wasn't his fame or his power or his mind. It was his dick.
well, the fame and power and all that helped him get into the position to be thinking with his dick. Let's put it that way.
He was probably doing that well before the fame and the power.
This is true. This is true. But
Because
yeah,
I
man.
know a lot of broke guys they don't have fame or power and they're still thinking with their dick.
Yeah, man. But yeah, talking about Shannon Sharpe's alleged lawsuit of SA, a young. In my research, she's not a minor. She was 20 years old when they met, but she still wasn't 21. You know what I
Mm,
mean? But at first I heard that she was 19. So
yeah.
going back and doing my research before this, turns out she was 20 at the time they met in like 2023.
Okay.
So um, it's still not a good look with you being 56 talking to a 20-year-old, but at the same time, you
Yeah.
know, I guess it's better than a teenager. I don't know. It's a real
She can buy you. Well, she can almost buy
shit
you a
show.
drink.
Yeah, she can almost, but she can pretend to buy you a drink. But yeah, man, it's like what is it? How many times do we have to learn the same lesson of if you are in a position of power, you can't abuse it by just talking to anybody. You know what I mean? Like there's a long list of celebrities that are always dating these women and men and women. Okay, like
Yeah.
let's not just get it twisted. It's not just men that are dating younger folks; it's women as well. But like they get to a certain status and they just go, "Fuck it, let me just talk to or date and f whoever I feel like it." And that's not a good look in the public a lot of times.
Well, the thing with his situation, and honestly, all those situations, I don't necessarily have. I mean, if somebody's legal, I really could care less who you date, as long
Yeah.
as they're of age, over 18. I could really care less.
Hmm.
The thing about it is the people they're choosing because they're probably there are plenty of 19-year-olds going to college or going to nursing school or something like that or working in tech or whatever may be going on that he could have chose.
Yeah.
He chose to get with not only a 20-year-old, but we're talking about a 20-year-old OnlyFans model.
This is true.
That's the thing with me. It's not necessarily the age thing because there's a lot of there are mature 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds. I'm not telling guys in their 60s go date these women, but there are mature ones.
Hmm.
There are ones who are on track, who are on path, who want something out of life, and who want to move forward and actually make big moves in life, have family, all things to the traditional route, all of that. That's not what he was looking for. That's the thing. That's not who he was looking for. He was
Yeah.
looking for a fun time.
No, for sure.
Because nobody gets with an OnlyFans model. It's like our boy Soul just did a couple of videos talking about can you turn her hoe into a housewife? I say no.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can put her in the house, but her ass isn't going to be a wife.
Yeah. It's hard, man, because it's yeah, there is the possibility of somebody younger, but it's like, what can somebody who is in college 20, 21, even into their, like, upper 20, like 29 or whatever. What
Mhm.
can you do for somebody who's in his 60s and already is making millions of dollars and had $100 million deal on the table? Like, yeah, you're just having fun, but there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of guys who aren't making any money and still making the same dumb decisions in their
Mhm.
50s, 40s, whatever, talking to a lot of younger chicks. And
Yeah.
and I understand, like, for men it is about fertility, or like, you want the youngest one possible and all that kind of stuff, but there's when you're in the public eye that much, you have your
Yeah.
own media company, Shay Shay Media, you have other people who are working on that as well, so like, you're fucking up their money too, but
Yeah.
you're known, if not around the world, all over the country.
Mhm.
Why are you willing to be seen out here with somebody like that, of that caliber? I can't say if she's a bad person or good,
Yeah.
whatever, but like, why her?
Self-sabotage is the only thing I can think of, because here's the thing, it's like there's a 25-year-old NFL player or a 20-year-old NBA player making that same mistake.
For
The
sure.
difference is he should have known better. We
Yeah.
we we expect him to know better.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, bro, you're not in your 20s anymore. You're not new into the NFL. You're not coming from, the backwoods of wherever you were, and now you're, in the big time, all of a sudden under the shining lights, and have no experience with that at all,
Yeah.
and are just moving, trying to figure it out. You've had decades and decades and decades of experience with that,
Yeah.
and of experience with women. Because we can't say that this is probably the only woman he's dealt with that had questionable ethics.
Yeah.
We'll say.
Yeah.
Um, the thing is, we expected him to know better. So the only thing I could think of is like, I'm like, okay, for what reason would, like you said, for what reason would you choose her specifically to
Mhm.
even mess with? To
Yeah.
even mess with. We're not even talking about like marry, date, have babies with, nothing like that. Just to mess with.
Hmm.
Before the whole contract and everything like that was even a possibility, $100 million, which is the apparently the offer that he was being. I don't know if it's still being offered on the table. I think we were talking about it earlier. It sounds like it may still be on the table,
Yeah,
but
they're
the
still
fact that
moving
that's even
as
up in the
business.
air now
Yeah.
is a major thing. It's like we titled this for a very specific reason. It's a $50 million lesson that this guy is learning at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, so the only thing I can really come up with is self sabotage. It's like we talked about the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and he talks about the upper limit problem.
Hmm.
And basically, the upper limit problem is when we all have a set thermostat of how good we think we should be doing or feeling, or how, all these different things like that.
Yeah.
And when we bump up against that level, we usually do something to bring ourselves back down to where we think we deserve. That's why you see a lot of athletes when they get into a place like, man, I was broke, I was poor, I was, living, me and my mom were living in a car and all these different things like that. And they came from a rough background, and they get all this money, but they can't seem to shake that. So they, their money and their status and their lifestyle comes up here, but their mentality, their, sometimes their moral compass and all these different things like that can't really match
Yeah.
that. And they
Yeah.
come up here and they find themselves in a place where they feel very, very uncomfortable. And then they do something to bring themselves back down. They, wrap their car around a pole. They, get in a shootout somewhere. They go somewhere where they're not supposed to be. They mess with somebody they're not supposed to be, and they end up losing all of that and end up right back where they were,
Hmm.
or sometimes lower than that, because
Yeah.
that's what they feel they deserve. Sometimes they don't feel like they deserve to be here. Now, I
Hmm.
don't know this about Shannon Sharpe. I have no connection with him at all, not related to him, have never met the guy. Um, my connection with the deepest my connection goes is watching him on TV on Sundays sometimes
Hmm.
back in
Yeah.
the day. That's about as deep as it gets. So I don't know where he feels like he deserves to be. But it's interesting that we haven't really bumped up into this until now, when
Hmm.
that like big deal, think about it. Over the last 1 to 2 years, he had his podcast is blown up. He had that interview with Cat Williams that just went nuclear,
Hmm.
all over the place, and got him, he busted through so many ceilings on YouTube and set so many new records
Hmm.
on YouTube and streaming and all these different things like that. So he's just like, everything he touches turns to gold with that. So, from what we're seeing, and that's been with the last 1 or 2 years, something like that.
You know what? I don't think that is an upper limit problem. I think
No,
it's
what I'm saying is he's been on a run. Is that
No, yeah,
he's
yeah.
he was on a run before that, but then when that really took off, he went from here to here. It hockey sticked.
Right, right,
So
right.
if you're coming from here and you can get comfortable as you go, that's one thing. It's just like if I'm flying you in a jet, and we're taking off and we're going here, you're like, okay, you have time to adjust. My body has time to adjust. But if we go from here and I take you fucking here, it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You have no time to adjust. You got to just figure it out. You hope you figure it out on the way up.
I don't know how much money he made when he was playing football the first time.
Not nearly as much as he has right now.
Yeah, but I'm just kind of thinking like some people get comfortable at the top. It's like every boxing movie you ever see where, okay, like think about Rocky. The first 3 movies was like getting his ass whooped, and then the fourth one
Mhm.
comes around, he's doing real good, he's eating well, able to buy a new house, all this stuff. He got comfortable, not realizing that maybe he didn't have the typical Cinderella story coming up, but now that he's doing real well, he's not as hungry.
Mhm.
So like and I see it with a lot of movie stars. You get kind of like, I don't know if arrogant is the
Complacent.
right word,
Okay.
complacent. It's just like I'm gonna do what I want. And from my research, he had 2 prior allegations along the same line
Yeah, I
back in
saw
the
that
day.
too. Hmm.
Yeah, so like 2 different women decades before the current allegations, sorry, yeah, arrested at least twice for allegedly assaulting 2 different women decades before. So even if you weren't learning now, you should have been learning then. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't know if it's a rite of passage or what, but like there's just so many. And somebody made a good point. I was watching, oddly enough, I think it was like Umar, like Dr. Umar. He was saying that like there's a good amount of young black men who are just getting into the NFL this year,
Hmm.
uh, that need to be paying attention to this, because like down the line, man, that temptation is always going to be there. There's always going to be
Yeah.
somebody in your face trying to act like they can give you something or provide some type of value or comfort, and you need to be able to have that clear and sober discernment between like who's actually going to be there for you and who's just there to be a part of your entourage or get lucky or whatever, trying to drag onto your coattails, and you can end up getting dragged down from on high because of that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
You gotta be more diligent at that point.
Hmm. Yeah. It's the reason I say the upper limit problem is because he stepped into, yes, he was famous before, but football famous and internet famous are two very different things.
Yeah,
Because he was famous, yes, in the NFL and even on ESPN and everything like that. Is like, but even ESPN hasn't been doing the numbers that he did just on his podcast and YouTube.
yeah,
Nowhere close.
for sure.
We're talking about matter of fact, let's look it up. Let's see how many views that Cat Williams interview got compared to
You know what? You look up the Cat Williams one. I'm gonna look up the Monique one because they both told him during those episodes, like,
yeah, yeah, and that's why I put they warned. I was gonna put they warned him on
yeah,
for the
yeah,
title because
for
they
sure,
did. They warned
they
him,
did,
but
yeah,
but it was
yeah.
kind of late by the time they warned him about it.
But yeah,
So
man,
yeah,
it's just crazy because yeah, he was already probably doing what he was doing by then. You know what I mean?
yeah. But
Let me see,
it's one of those
club.
things. It's one of those things that yeah, I mean, yeah, he was famous before, but nowhere near as famous as he is now, and in the circles that he's in now. I mean, you start talking about making $100 million deals. That's stuff where like I said, running a whole media company, and not just having a podcast, but running a media company and all these different things like that. It takes you to a whole different room. You have to walk in different circles. You're gonna be having much different conversations. You're gonna be talking to people who have hundreds of millions of dollars, talking to billionaires. You're not gonna be doing that
Yeah.
as an NFL player most of the time, not in a level where they're gonna be respecting you on the same level as a mover
So
and a shaker.
yeah, I found it, and this is pretty sad. So Cat Williams's interview was 89 million views.
Mm-hmm.
89 million. And then hers was 18 million. They were both a year ago already.
Yep.
And it's so over 100 million people watched you get warned about this exact situation. So you literally can't say that. I mean, he's not saying that like, oh, nobody told me type of thing. And I give him this. He's being like super straight up because he's also told, was it Busby, the lawyer who is supposed to be representing the girl, who all this is about, he is trying to. Sorry. Yeah, there's someone for the 50 million, but it's like he's telling him to like release the whole video of
Mm-hmm.
whatever clip they plan on putting out in court, where it looks like more like essay and all that kind of stuff. But he's like, no, release the whole thing because I think he thinks it's gonna exonerate him. But at the same time, you had messed with her for like 2 years, and you really could have dropped this at any point. You know what I'm saying? Like a year in, you still would have been safe. I feel, or maybe not even that. Maybe she was truly trying to set him up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like he's had several chances to walk away before, and some of his statements on his own show to other people have been contradictory to what he's saying about the age gap between, like, what the age gap should be for older men or younger women, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? He was basically saying half your age plus 7. I'm not super great at math, but you're
Yeah.
almost 60 years old and she was 20 at the time. So that don't feel like half to me, homie.
So check this out. So the average views for ESPN per night from the 8 to 11 p.m. slot, from what it's saying, is 2.29 million views per night.
Yeah, see,
That's what I'm saying. Like
that ain't
80,
nothing. The ratings got
89
way
million.
better.
We're talking about 89 million for something that people are going to
Yeah,
watch it. Because not, you
yeah,
got to see, with ESPN, you're talking about, it's like daily news. The odds that somebody's going to come back, a lot of people are going to come back and watch that a year from now on
yeah,
ESPN, probably
yeah,
pretty low. The odds that people are going to keep watching that Cat Williams interview 2 years from now, probably pretty high.
yeah,
And you're
yeah,
still getting paid off of that for every single time. Every new view a month, you're getting paid for that.
yeah,
Like I said, the numbers just don't. It blows it out of the water.
yeah,
So that's why I was leaning to the self sabotage thing, because that's the only thing I can think of why you would choose to put yourself in that scenario.
yeah,
It's like, I just can't think of another reason why you would choose to do it. There's no benefit to you in that, because and I'm sorry, but no no Punani is gonna be worth $50 million to me.
for sure. Especially to want to get you in that type of trouble, because I think they
you
were
know.
they were aiming for the 50 million based off of his $100 million deal he's supposed to get.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they're like, oh, we're just gonna get it ahead of time. And I heard somebody else say that, like, they should have, if they were really gonna do this, they should have waited till after the deal was like done. That way, the money's in the bank, or at least it's coming.
Either that, or
But
she's just trying to fuck them up,
no, for
or
sure.
revenge.
But there was
But
also, like, it's kind of similar to the Diddy thing, because when Cassie came out and said something about what he was doing to her, he basically tried to pay her off like within 24 hours. He was like, look,
mhm.
take this money, shut up, we can be done, we can end it right now.
Yeah,
But I think Shannon did the same thing with $10 million and was like, yo, go away. But you did it so close to when the news dropped. It's like, it's kind of, it makes you look a little bit suspicious. You know what I mean? The behavior wasn't
yeah.
enough. But
That seems to be an
yeah,
industry standard, though. I mean, a lot of people do the payoffs just because they don't want the publicity of it. Whether they did it or not, they don't want to even have to deal with that. So they're like, well, look, obviously you're looking for money. Let me just go ahead and pay you so you go away. You sign this and say you're never going to talk about it again. I know it didn't happen. You know it didn't happen, but you want to start some shit.
yeah,
Just go away. I'm paying you to go away. I'm not
yeah,
paying you because I'm wrong. I'm paying you to go away.
yeah,
So I don't know, man. It's a wild scenario. The biggest thing we wanted to really touch on is, like, how do we as men um learn from this,
mhm,
because it's one of those things that this is a learn. While it's not a great look for him, it's if I'm hoping that this isn't true, that would be the best case scenario. If it is, he deserves whatever he gets from it, in my mind. you know
mhm,
I hope it's not true, but at the end of the day, whether it's true or not, what can we learn from this scenario? Because he's not going to be the only guy. He's not the only guy in this scenario right now, and he's
yeah,
never going to be the only guy in this scenario forever.
yeah,
I mean, women have been the biggest driver of destruction for men since the beginning of time, since Adam and Eve.
yeah, yeah.
And here's the thing: I don't blame them. I blame us.
It's passing the buck. Like, oh, it's her fault. Well,
No, I blame us for that. I
yeah,
blame us for that, because most of the situations we get in is behind women, and we choose to get ourselves into situations. And we
Mm-hmm.
go out here and we, fight a guy over your girlfriend. Why would you ever fight another man over your girlfriend? If you want her, take her. Is like if she's been talking to you or doing anything, I hear about guys like, oh, that's the dude that was messing with my girl. One, why are you still calling her your girl? Because she screwed another dude or was messing with another guy. Obviously, she's not yours.
Right.
So one, you're still claiming her.
Mm-hmm.
Two, if you go and start some stuff with this guy, it doesn't solve the problem.
Right. That's big facts. It definitely
But
doesn't
no
solve
matter
it.
what he did, it starts with you. It's like you didn't handle for whatever reason, whether you did handle your business or you didn't. She's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go. Chalk it up to the game, bro. Is like your girl chose me. Your girl chose him. Chalk it up to the game. Do like pimps do. It's like, hey, you won that one, sir. and keep it moving. Keep it moving. Go get you another one. It's like
It's
they're like buses. There's another one coming every 5 minutes.
so I don't necessarily agree with that part, but I've been in situations like that where either it was somebody who I was talking to and she was talking to somebody else, or it was them finding out she was talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's immaturity, honestly. There is a
Yeah.
level of immaturity where you're like, first of all, it's been made painfully clear to me that people are not property. So nobody belongs to
Mm-hmm.
you. You can have
Yep.
this relationship, and as Patrice O'Neill used to say, I'm in a relationship with you, and you're in a relationship with me. The minute you feel as if you want something else, you need to go ahead and either discuss that with your whoever's in that relationship with you and figure out how
Mm-hmm.
to fix it, or stop wasting time, because that's one big thing for me. Stop wasting my time if you feel like you don't want to be with me anymore. Then if we can't truly figure it out, then we need to go ahead and separate, because it's like you said, there's too many people and there's too much opportunity, but at the same time, you're just wasting your time and making your life miserable when you choose to be around somebody who doesn't want you the way you want them. You
Yeah.
always need to be looking for somebody who can either meet you halfway, not the 50-50 thing, but it's like meet you halfway in life, or be able to follow you to where you're going. Because if we both ain't got no damn direction, we're going to be lost and drowning. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
um, when it comes to, yeah, like
This
you can't
scenario.
own, yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
scenario, it's not quite the same, but
Yeah, I was about to say we're getting a little
he
off topic now.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I was like, wait, where was I going with this? He definitely should have left her alone way before that. She
mm.
was asking for pictures of money to be sent and cash app in large amounts.
You
The fact
shouldn't
that
have
she
messed with her.
yeah,
You shouldn't have messed with her from jump.
yeah.
I'm sorry. An OnlyFans model. Like I said, whether she was 19, 20, or 42, she's an
But he was
OnlyFans
known
model.
for not trying to have a
She's
relationship.
an then have a relationship with someone who's not an OnlyFans model, bro. That would be that's in the same realm as stripper.
True. Well, true. But
You find out an
these
NFL or
things
an NBA
for a
player is
good
dating a
time.
stripper. How do you think that relationship is going to go? What do we all think? Is like,
No,
oh
it's
yeah,
things
he
are
met
not gonna
he met her at the club. What
yeah,
club?
right. The
And
spearmint rhino, whatever it's
you
called.
find out she was dancing,
Yeah.
or a former corn star, or any of these things, or a former lady of the night, whatever. We would all be looking at it like, come on, bro,
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Is
But
like that's the play with. You don't
it
bring
doesn't
that home.
sound like he was trying
You
to
don't
make that.
bring that home.
Yeah, but
You
it,
keep
it
that
doesn't
out there.
it doesn't sound like he was looking for any type of relationship that wasn't sexual. Period. There's been other podcasts that he's been on as well that was like, look, I ain't, I'm not trying to settle down. He's making too much money, I guess. He's got
Hmm.
too much going on. He's not trying to split that with nobody. But when you get in situations like this, where you're being forced to part from your opportunities and your money because you can't control yourself, or at least let it be somebody who's not gonna fucking try to backdoor you. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody who
Hmm.
just understands. They'll sign the paperwork or whatever. Because I think he tried to get her to sign the NDA. That was the real first mistake. He didn't have her sign the thing he was trying to get her to sign, where it was like, look, whatever we do is between us, not no social media bullshit, not no all this
Hmm.
other stuff. But yes, vetting who you're trying to interact with on any level needs to be step number one.
Yeah.
You need to verify something. Is this person trustworthy? No, then don't fuck with them. Is this person running around? Have I heard stories about this person? Yes. Okay. Are they good stories? No. Okay. I need to move around. You need to make sure that
Can
you're
my
vetting.
boys watch my can the boys watch my video of my girlfriend naked?
Is it easy to find you on a Google search? You know what I mean? Like it might be a problem, but like I said, that sober discernment is that main thing that you need to have, because you need to understand that, like, first of all, no, not everybody's for you. Most people are not going to be for you. You should have ran that by somebody in his camp to be like, yo, bro, I'm thinking about messing with this girl. I met her in the gym, but she's an OnlyFans model, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Like when you're that rich or famous or whatever, your circle is different. And
Yeah.
probably there's a good chance that they're also running foul or whatever that they're doing. They have their own secrets. I can't name one famous person that hasn't been in some type of trouble or had something that was almost disclosed or going through a suit or whatever. And especially if it was dealing with young women, like that alone, movie stars, athletes, you name it. It's just they all have this thing where they just want to mess with the youngest women because they don't plan on keeping her. But at least keep it behind closed doors. You know what I mean? No going live by accident or pretending like you got hacked and you on there for a whole hour and you just never check your phone. Like, come on, man.
Well, he was a little busy. It's like,
No, he was busy, but it's just
do you check your phone when you're handling business?
I have my step count, like my step counter on there, and I just like fake it. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm cheating the system, really. But but no, it's just like, but you saw where the phone was. The phone was like at the headboard type shit. So it's like nothing, nothing. Okay, then have your phone locked up somewhere or on the dresser across the room. Handle your business, but there's no accidentally getting on Instagram Live, as you can see now.
We're talking about a whole different thing now. Let's not even get it. Let's not even get into that thing because that was a publicity stunt,
Yeah,
very obviously.
yeah. But
Um,
yes, vet your
but this
people.
this doesn't seem to be.
Yeah,
This doesn't
yeah,
seem to be.
no, not at all.
So
What would you say are some takeaways from this situation to get us back on track?
I mean, to be honest, I've actually been thinking about even just what we're doing, um, or with where I want to be in life. It's like, okay, what would be my vetting process um, with women? Because you're married, so you know you have an advantage from us single guys. It's like 'cause you know what you're dealing with.
That's yeah,
Maybe not every day when you walk in the door, because they say a woman's different every time you walk in the door. You can meet a different woman,
yeah.
but overall, you have a general idea of what you're dealing with.
And
Especially when
people
you've been
change within that
yeah.
time as
I
well.
mean, because you've been with her for 10 years now, so you have an idea of who you're dealing with on a regular
Right,
basis.
right.
Um, but starting new and finding someone out there, like, if, for instance, if tomorrow, this video went viral and we blew up out of nowhere, um,
Hmm.
and got
Oh,
super duper internet famous, which is funny that that's even a thing. Um, oh, looks like it froze. But yeah,
no, no.
we got.
I would agree.
Oh, okay, yeah, we got super duper internet famous. That's hilarious. But it's a thing now. It really is. And we were doing interviews and everything like that. Doing getting invited to do news stuff and different podcasts and all these different things like that. How would I be moving out here? The money started flowing in. It's like people offering us tens of thousands of dollars to promote their stuff, and
Yeah,
um, maybe we wouldn't get $100 million contract, but maybe be a million or something like that. If it was something like that, how would
yeah.
I move? And I've been thinking about that more. Like, okay, what would I be? How would I have to move as a guy in that situation? Um, I think you would have to make it harder to have access to you. To be
Yeah.
honest, I think that would be you couldn't just let anybody in and that sounds kind of conceited as shit, but you'd have to really do a lot more um, vetting of people who you bring into your life. It almost had to be like a job interview type deal.
Hmm.
Like, back honestly, to be real about it, I'd probably start getting background checks on chicks. I'm about ready to start doing that now.
You should be doing that now, bro. Like real talk.
I was like we're nowhere near where we want to be yet. And I was like, just that I'm a guy, but but after some of these experiences on Tinder and Bumble and shit, but I'm ready to start putting cases on all you motherfuckers.
We had a comment from my boy Avatar. What number is that? 13, making me read. So shout out to Emery. He was asked, like, speaking of Diddy, did you hear that he pleaded not guilty to his stuff? I didn't get a chance
I
to
didn't
hear
hear
about
that.
that.
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
It's a lie, I'm sure. I did hear that his lawyer tried to quit. His lawyer tried to quit in the middle of the case. And this is the same dude that defended bin Laden.
Damn.
So
Well,
if if he went through his whole course and was able to I don't even know what the end of that case was, but if you try to quit in the middle of the actual case, there's some shit going on down there. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
from what I hear, they're trying. I was just listening to some last night, and they're trying to do a plea that he was incapable mentally because of all the drugs that he did. Is what they're shooting for now. I forgot what technique it was called, but they're shooting for that now, almost like an
Oh,
insanity plea, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like pleading that he was um, not in a correct mental state because of all the drugs that he was doing.
It's probably all the fumes from the baby oil. You know what I'm
You
saying?
know,
I
it's
think
like
I think the
just
technical term
his
is like
drinks probably
lying.
he might have drugged himself too. Be like, we're all getting drugged tonight.
For real. If we're all on drugs, nobody can say I did this. Like, what? Okay.
It's like you drugged me. I drugged all of us.
I drugged myself first. I drugged myself 30 minutes before y'all walked in the door.
What
What?
was the other? He said, "I took the pill. I took the pill
Right.
that she would love, so she would love me. I didn't give her a pill. I took the pill."
Jeez. But yeah,
He's
man,
like, "So I could perform." It's like I took the pill so she would love me. I fucking love 50 Cent, bro.
that's crazy.
He's my favorite
Villain.
instigator.
Favorite famous villain, super
he's
villain.
he's more like an anti-hero. He's my favorite anti-hero.
Something. He's anti something. But yeah, so being able to vet people, maybe doing a background check, like you said, having
Oh,
having
not
it be
maybe,
harder.
not maybe. 100% doing a background check. 100%. Not just on women, but people who start you coming around me. Because people already do background checks. Like when they hire a bodyguard, they do a background check on their bodyguard.
As they should,
But you
yeah.
won't do a background check on the same person sleeping in your bed.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about their past except what they tell you and what you find on Instagram.
My background check was Instagram. I saw she had that ass and was like, oh,
Yeah,
DM.
yeah. you know,
Yeah.
it's like so you don't do any kind of like real thorough vetting at that. You have to at that level. Honestly,
Yeah.
you got to you. I I'll put it this way, and I've said this before. If men treated relationships like business, we'd have a lot less problems.
That's true. I,
If
I,
I think of relationships now like a business.
no, they
I
are.
do not deal with women that I would not start a business with. If I'm going to get married or anything like that, it have to be with women that I could see myself benefiting from and starting a business. It's like,
Yeah.
would I start a business with you? If I wouldn't even start a hot dog stand with you, then you don't need to be around me.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that you treat them like business relationships because now I'm looking at every relationship like a marriage. And it kind of goes back to what Soul talks about all the time, where it's like the second marriage of man is that union between a man and a woman, but that third marriage of man is basically anybody else who he gets involved with, whether it's business, team related, friendship, whatever. You treat this person, no, like pause, but treat this person like your spouse. And how would you want to be treated? So it has to be something reciprocal, where both of you can benefit, both of you are able to be vulnerable and all this other kind of stuff. But yeah, it's the same as with a business relationship because after I started to realize like what a marriage actually was,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, this is a business because you can still sign paperwork as much as you do for a business, prenups, postnup, all that kind of stuff. And you need to structure your relationship, your marriage, your business the same way you would as,
Yeah.
fill in the blank. Because you need to
Hmm.
make sure that, like, okay, if anything ever goes bad, just like this, if anything ever goes bad with the relationship, what stop gaps can we put in place that stop us from being too vindictive and it getting too ugly, so that maybe we can either salvage the relationship or just break amicably.
Yeah.
But he tried to get her to sign an NDA, she wasn't with it. Tried to get him to send a whole bunch of money over the wire, he wouldn't do it. he was very smart as far as like how he was going to protect himself if anything went down, but you still took all the steps that it took to get you in trouble, no matter how much proof or insurance you thought you had. So it's like if you just didn't get into the situation in the first place, you wouldn't need to have NDAs and sending people, telling people to put out the full video and like show the text messages and all that stuff. It should still be private, even when y'all are going through it. We put too much information on online these days. Why is it that we even know about this situation and every other podcast on the planet are talking about the same shit we talking about now?
Because of choices.
Exactly.
because
But
we,
like,
because we complicate our lives and then we explain why.
yeah,
It's like that. Because here's the thing: is like, yes, NDAs and these different things like that are important at that level. Is like, but at the same time, it's like if someone married a crackhead and they're a crackhead or have been a crackhead or something like that in the past,
I
and you
hear
decide, well, for me to protect myself, I'm going to hide my bank accounts. I'm going to put the good silverware in this box that I lock up, and I'm going to have a safe that she doesn't know about. And, none of the cars are in her name. It's,
yeah,
all the valuables I'm going to keep locked away to protect myself in this relationship with this person who could be or is a crackhead right now.
right.
How about you just not get involved with the crackhead?
That's what I'm saying. You spend all this time building
It's like
to
then you
protect
eliminate a
yourself.
lot of those issues when you don't
Yeah,
do that.
exactly.
It's like, so
I,
a lot of it is choice, and like you said, the business thing, because people are like, well, there's marriage is not a business, relationships are not a business. It's bullshit. Because here's the thing: if there's no marriage that doesn't have a prenup, there's no marriage that doesn't have a prenup. Whether you sign one or not, you have a prenup with the state that you're in. They decide how things go when you get divorced in a lot of
I
cases.
see what you mean. Yeah.
Because
That's
if
the
she
default.
if because she yeah well, exactly, if she decides to get a divorce from you, you get, a guy gets married, he's been married for 2 years, they don't get a prenup, whatever it may be, she decides to get a divorce, she goes and fills out the paperwork, you get the paperwork, depending on what state you're in, she can get alimony, she can get the kids with no kind of without you having to go to court. She
Yeah.
automatic in a lot of cases. I think Colorado might be one of those states where they automatically get the kids
Hmm.
in the case of a divorce. You
Hmm.
have to actually go to court to try and fight that, but automatically by default, the woman, the wife gets the kids,
Yeah.
not the husband. You have to go to court to fight that to get that changed.
Yeah.
So these are all standards that are set by law. So you have a
Yeah.
prenup whether you think you do or not. So people saying that, relationships and marriage are about love and feelings and all these different things like that, and partnership. It is a fucking business. Whether you want to at the end on the bottom simplest level, it is a business at the end of the day. Because if it wasn't, why do you have to sign a marriage contract?
Why you got to file joint taxes
Why do you
and
have to
all?
file joint taxes? Why do you
Yeah.
have to file something with the state? Why does the person who marries you have to a lot of times, if you haven't already been married, have to have certain certificates in order to do it?
Yeah.
Why do you
You
have to
wrote.
file for divorce with the state?
You technically you don't have to, but it's a whole bunch of hoops you got to jump through to get your last name changed. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, and then you got to go change it on all your legal documentation and IDs and all that kind of stuff.
hmm
So like, if it's not
and
a
your
business,
debt becomes this person's debt. We're
yeah,
we're talking about a fucking business, bro.
yeah,
It's just
for
like
sure,
why people treat relationships and marriages like they're not. It blows my mind now. I mean, don't get me
it's
wrong. I haven't always thought this way. I have not always thought this way. So I'm not gonna pretend like I have. I was about the whole, oh, love and happiness, love and happy. I was about that. I was about that life for a long time. I'm not saying I don't believe in love and happiness and these different things like that, but I don't
yeah,
think that's all you can base something on.
no,
Is
for
like
sure,
love is a temporary feeling, a lot of times created by dopamine in your brain in a lot of cases, you know
yeah,
is like what they say, I heard somebody say like love is love lasts as long as, no, I'm not gonna say it, never mind. That was a little too not YouTube worthy for me to say that. I'm gonna leave that
yeah.
one
But
alone.
what I would say is, if marriage is not a business, it's the most complicated non-business I've ever been a part of. it's a nonprofit,
It's a
but
non-profit.
no, there's plenty of profit from it, but it's the way
I was
that
gonna
it's
say, I'm gonna
set
tell
up.
your wife is a non. I'm gonna tell your
No,
wife.
it's the
And
way
then
that
say
it's
you
set
guys
up.
are a non-profit.
It takes so much work to make it work. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yes, love is a choice.
Oh,
Love,
absolutely.
but love is not enough when it comes to those long-term
But
decisions
what
because
about all the '90s R&B songs, Edmund? What about all those '90s
they
R&B
made
songs?
money off of those songs. What do you mean? They weren't
but
making those
but
songs.
according to them, you get the sky, the moon, the sun, and the diamonds, and you give her the world, and she
Yeah.
gives you, I guess, everything else. I don't know.
Well,
They never really got that far. She gives you
everything
love.
else you get is
She
the
gives
stuff that
you
she
love,
doesn't
but they
want
don't
in the
really say what
divorce.
that is. Like,
Yeah,
can this chick even cook?
it's all the stuff that you don't get in the divorce. That's what you get.
You get,
But
it's like what you get is half of your shit.
right,
That's what
you
you
get to
get.
keep you get to
That's
keep
what you
half of
get.
your
You get half of your
baby,
shit back.
right, and you still got to be cashing out. But
Oh
I think
man.
I think love is a good cornerstone. But there has to be something else. You have to be driven. You have to be about something. Like everybody always asks, what do you bring to the table? The only thing that this chick was bringing to the table was a
Boss.
flat ass, apparently, because he was like 20. What she say? 10,000 or 15,000 per cheek or whatever. And I'm like, you need your money back. But it's just the fact that you have to. Any relationship is give and take.
Hmm.
What do I provide to you? What are you going to be able to provide for me in reciprocity or give back or whatever you want to call it? And you get to choose who you love. You get to choose if what they're bringing to you is satisfactory to you or not. For a lot of men and women, it's like, okay, the man can be the provider and be able to hopefully provide a house and a car and all this stuff. The woman is supposed to help him emotionally on the back end, but a lot of that is not happening. So and if a woman is making a whole bunch of money, sometimes
So
yeah, that's
supposedly this is her. We're not 100% sure yet if this is actually the young lady in question. There's some, there was a lot of internet investigating that went on, and hip hop investigating, but supposedly this is her. Supposedly.
you say hip
So,
hop investigating.
well, that's what the article was saying. Like people in the hip hop industry and stuff like that. We're talking about it. But
Yeah,
apparently they tracked this person down, and I have her name and everything like that. We're not gonna say her name, but supposedly this is the young lady in question
hmm
that was he was dealing with.
yeah.
Like I said, I still don't think that's worth $50 million. So nowhere
No,
near. Maybe
no. But
you know, I'm
I
not
think
I'm not
he
gonna
thought
say that.
keeping his reputation was worth 50 million. You know what I mean? Like keeping
Mhm.
keeping whatever good favor he could keep at the end of all this was probably that's what he's paying for, is to keep the lights on type of thing. But what was I saying? Yeah, so like if you're not able to get with somebody who can give you whatever it is that you feel like you're missing in that relationship, companionship, love, trust, vulnerability, all this other kind of stuff, then you need to just find somebody who can. If you're going to be out here having a good time, you still need to protect yourself. Maybe dating somebody who's a little bit closer to your range is a great place to start, but just think it all the way through.
I I think he was trying to fill a void, to be honest with you. Because there's just no way he went through all of his college career and playing football, all of his NFL career playing football, all of his time at ESPN and all that. And you can't tell me that he wasn't getting cheeks that
Yeah,
whole time.
for
It's like,
sure.
so, but at a certain point, it's like you end up being that 50-year-old guy at the nightclub every ladies' night. It's like, dude, what are you looking for here? What,
Chicks.
why are you here? As you start
Yeah.
to question, like, at first it's like, okay, dude, yeah, he's out here having a good time. And after a while, it's like when I used to bounce, I used to see guys like that. I'm like, why the fuck are you here?
hmm
Go home. You don't have shit else to do on a Thursday night. I'm here because I'm getting paid. That's the only reason I'm here.
Right.
I'm single and I don't even go out every Thursday, every ladies' night. What the
hmm
hell are you doing here?
Yeah.
Go fucking home. Go home. Go get a hobby. Go rebuild a car. Go learn stocks. Go fucking travel. Go do something.
Yeah.
Why is your ass here at a
Yeah.
nightclub with a bunch of 20 somethings getting trashed who are going to be thrown up in the parking lot in about 2 hours. Why the
That
fuck are you
is
here?
facts. That is. Do you feel like that's predatory?
I feel like you have something missing in you if you're there. I don't feel like I have a hard time believing that Shannon Sharpe is a whole person at this point because
Mm-hmm.
of that situation. I don't think you just get into that situation
No.
because especially when it's like I said, there's been some speculation. There's been maybe a couple times this kind of stuff's happened, and just like even the way he talks about relationships, there I feels like there's something wrong there. There's something maybe missing inside. Something he some honestly, I think there's probably some trauma he hasn't fucking dealt with. To be real about it, what I don't know what it could be. I don't know if maybe it was some insecurities as growing up or whatever it may be, or something happened to him. I don't know what it could injuries, depression, mental state, whatever. Somebody telling me he wasn't good enough. Somebody telling him he was fucking ugly. I don't know what it could have been, but I feel like that's some unresolved trauma
Mm-hmm.
there that's coming out because we talk about it, it's like it's not just going to stay in that lane that you put it in.
Right.
If you got beat as a kid, it's not just going to stay in that box. It's gonna bleed out into other areas of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna see it eventually at work when you get to when you get to a certain level. You're gonna see it in how you deal with relationships when you have arguments. You're gonna see it in how you deal with your children and different
Mm-hmm.
things like that. How you even discipline them. It's going to bleed over if you don't deal with that. You drag all that shit with you, and I think he has some unresolved shit that he hasn't dealt with. To be real
Mm-hmm.
about it,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see how you get into these situations on repeat now, and you don't. There's not an underlying issue there.
Um, I think with a lot of high achieving folks, it is a driving component. It is a
Mm-hmm.
factor. How else do you get to such heights without there's being something wrong that you're trying to solve within yourself? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like whether it's sports and I was listening to something that was like the psychology of high performance athletes and all this other kind of stuff. It's like why else would you put so much time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears into something if you weren't trying to prove something to either somebody outside or somebody within yourself? I
Mm-hmm.
think you retire, you understand that you need to keep making money. You use that sports vehicle as a way to, catapult into a media company and all these shows and all this great stuff. Yeah, but I do think there is something that is wrong, but that is not it's not my main concern. You know what I mean? Because everybody's got something. Everybody's got a hole they're trying to fill, and they're doing their damnedest to fill it. And it's a constant nagging thing in the back of your head where it's like, why am I not good enough? Why am I not whatever on whatever level it is for you?
Mm-hmm.
But my problem is you can just do so much when you get to that, and you're still trying to solve this one. I think it's like when you're trying to see, or you can't see the forest for the trees. You're focused on this one thing, but I think like we've talked about previously that there's nothing external that can really fill that hole internally until you start to
Mm-hmm.
go in and all that.
Yeah.
So I think people who end up being this type of famous, they don't care anymore. They're not trying to fill whatever that is because now they have all this stuff. They
Mm.
have so much
I
to.
think you're wrong. I think they're trying to fill it with the stuff. The guys I've met who are the most are the biggest whores I've ever met have the most damage.
Yeah,
They
I
are
agree.
the most damaged. The guys I've met who have been the biggest like men whores I've ever met in my life have had the most damage and some of
Mhm.
the deepest scars. And they're trying to fill that with all these different things like that, whether it be women or alcohol or drugs or different things like that. The stuff is what people are trying to fill it with.
Right.
So
I'm
it's
just
not
saying
just the stuff to
there's
get the stuff. It's like they're trying to fill that void
no.
with the stuff.
That's what I'm saying as well. But I'm saying like
Yeah.
you just kind of get blind to it after a while. If you're not constantly going home every night and thinking about the bullshit, then you're
Hmm.
just gonna keep accumulating more stuff. I don't even know if how can I say this? I don't know if not every I just don't think everybody cares at a certain point. You get to a certain level of whatever, fame, money, power, whatever. there are some people who are going to switch that thing off, I think, if it's possible. I've never had that much money. Nobody's ever tried to give me $100 million deal, so I don't know. But what do you feel like it takes? That maybe that's the question. What does it take to start to fill that void so that you don't have to get in this kind of trouble? Is it the introspection? Is it the talking to a therapist? I don't think therapy is enough. Is it going off into the Amazon jungle to take psychotropic drugs, or does it just take a
Yeah,
hug from the right
his ass
person?
needs some fucking ayahuasca for sure.
Is it,
um,
what is it? Can somebody tell it? If we got some people watching,
yeah,
what does it take to fill that void?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll put it this way.
Because the answer can't be the same for everybody.
So I think we talked about on, I don't know if it was a live that we were doing or if it was in the Legion in the community that we were talking about it to some of the guys. When I got out of high school, I developed a bit of a drinking problem. So from like 18 to probably early 20s, maybe like it probably got better about like 24, 25. But up until then, it's like when I drank, I wasn't just drinking to just drink. I was drinking to get drunk. Period. And not just like, oh, we're having fun drunk. No, we're just sitting in the basement, just shooting the shit, and we're just getting trashed, absolutely trashed, on a nightly basis. I could definitely say I was probably on the path to alcohol. To be, if I continue like that, I probably would have become an alcoholic. If I continued like that, without a doubt. Honestly, I probably was borderline at certain points. But it's one of those things that when I look back at it, I was drinking to avoid my issues. That's really all it was. It was me running from it. So in order to deal with it, you have to stop running.
Yeah.
And that's can be a scary thing for people, especially depending on what they went through. It can be a real tough thing to stop running, because then you're in it. Then the minute you stop running, you got to face it.
Yeah.
It's not, there's no like timeout to, since we're talking about, a football, former NFL style, you don't stop and it's like, oh, timeout. Wait, I need to get ready. No, bro. As soon as you stop running from it, it's on you. It is on you. There are no timeouts. It's on you. It's right there in your face. And you got to either deal with it or keep running. And you can't ever run fast enough to get away from it. That's the fucking thing. You can't ever run fast enough. No matter how much I drank, no matter how much I distracted myself, no matter how much I tried to achieve or do all these different things, it never was enough for me to get away from me. And what I had going on.
Yeah. I feel like I tell people that all the time, where it's like, I remember a friend of mine, I went to Japan. The first time I went to Japan was like a school trip type of thing. And it was a kid from another school that I was hanging out with. And he said, oh, yeah, a man went to a bar every day to drown his problems, only to find out that, oh, see, that's why I love Emery, bro. He's so fucking deep.
Only to find out they can swim.
Yeah.
I fucking love it, bro. I love that.
Shout out to my dog, man. It's what was I about to say? I tell people this all the time, and I got it from another guy who I met, where I was like, man, because everybody who's always known me, I was like, man, I can't wait to move out of Ohio. I hate it here. I'm ready to go, all this other kind of stuff. And he was like, why do you want to move so bad? And I was like, because I just hate where I was raised. Nobody ever feels productive. Everybody's talking shit about each other or backstabbing and all this stuff. I've even been a part of it. You know what I mean? It's shit. Emery can tell you some stories, but he told me, he was like, anywhere that you go, your problems are going to follow you, because ultimately you're the problem.
Everywhere you go, there you are.
Everywhere you go, there you are. So anytime I run into somebody who's like, they want to, like, oh, I need a vacation, or I can't wait to get out of this and that, I'm like, bro, it's something internal. And when I started to face that, the better I started to feel, because it's really not, actually, I can't even say that. It's really depending on what you went through. My issues weren't as bad as maybe somebody else's, but because they're yours, they feel heavier. So I had to work through my shit over years and years, but I was able to kind of like some on my own, some seeking help, reading, all this other kind of stuff. But like when it got to a certain point where I was just okay, even with the worst thoughts that would come through my head, I was like, man, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. This isn't as scary as it could have been. And I heard something pretty profound the other day where it was like the things inside of you that you're afraid to face have to take on this like almost nightmarish form in your subconscious, and they become bigger than what they are because they need to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to look at what's fucked up in you unless it becomes a bigger thing. And when you actually start to break it down and get into like what the nitty gritty of whatever that is, even when it's hard, and I know it's hard, but when you get through it, you ultimately end up either being able to laugh at it, you can appreciate the experience that you went through, you can move past it, and you can grow from it. So you really need to be able to like understand that, yeah, it's cool to go to these locations, whether it's a vacation or whatever, to like take the time to think. But all it's really going to do is get you outside of that mindset. But before you get back on the plane to come home,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, fuck, when I get home, I got to go back to work. I got to deal with family. I got to deal with bills. I got to deal with whatever I was running from. You only get a short time of reprieve when you switch locations because it's
Mm-hmm.
still you at the end of the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And something I was thinking about with him in particular, it probably wasn't as much with me, because I would say I really was more solo for the most part, even doing some of my stuff. With him, I'd probably say he needs to get around a different kind of circle,
Yeah.
because even just thinking back on, like, remember his interview with Monique?
Hmm.
Remember how uncomfortable he was when she put him on the spot, when she put him on the hot seat? How he
Yeah.
like kind of started trying to make jokes about everything and everything like that. And she's like, you get your old fat bitch, da da da, and get and really started getting into. He actually looked like he started to get fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing with Cat Williams during that interview. That Cat Williams interview looked like the most uncomfortable I've seen him in a while.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't watch it. I don't watch a lot of stuff he's done, but
There's
it's
enough
like
of it.
you could tell when somebody's real uncomfortable with certain things,
Yeah.
real uncomfortable with like a different reality than they live.
Yeah.
Like Cat Williams bumped up against some barriers that Shannon Sharpe had. So did Monique, bumped up against some hard barriers that he had, and it obviously made him uncomfortable with. Honestly, I don't know if, and like I said, I don't know him, but I definitely see this with a lot of more like athletes and fighters and different things like that, who are more like intense, more like the alpha, quote unquote alphas.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that they tend to have in their circle that can put them on the hot seat, that could put them under the fire.
For sure.
um a lot of it tends to be, I don't want to say yes men, but a lot of it's like either equal or yes men in a
Yeah.
lot of cases. It's
Yeah.
not a lot of people that's like, like almost like, I don't know who he would see as like a father figure, that would be like, who would call and be like, hey Shannon, you fucking up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or a
oh
big
I'm sorry.
brother or
Yes,
something.
sir, you're right. And actually do something, and actually change, and actually actively change. Take that advice and actually do something to change. I don't know who he has that's like that, to be real,
Yeah.
about it.
But let me ask you this though. It
Mhm,
You can have, and I saw a video totally unrelated.
mhm,
Let me just give you the example. There was a young black kid who got sentenced to life somewhere. I
okay,
can't remember. It happened. It literally happens every day. So he got sentenced to life, and it was a video of the grandma that was coming in to basically say her goodbyes. She was
mhm,
like, we tried to tell you, there's nothing that we can do. We can't flip the situation. Like you're basically going down for murder. We told you stop running around in the streets and all this stuff.
yeah.
Even if you have the best counsel possible, what good is all that if you're not gonna listen?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he has that.
Yeah,
I don't know who has his ear, whose advice he takes and actually listens to,
yeah,
and not just listens to, but actually acts on.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
like I don't know who he has like that. Like I said, we don't know the background story with that. That's a harder one. Um, I know for me it was I definitely had to, like I said, the biggest thing was just not run. I had to stop running. I had to stop trying to do distraction. It's still something I'm working at with certain parts of my life is to stop running. Is
Yeah.
like I know there's a reason for a lot of things behind the things I do. There's a chip on my shoulder. There's a fuck you type mentality I have with a lot of stuff that I do. That
No.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna.
What?
Yeah, I know. Where would that come from? It's just like, it's like go ahead, tell me I can't do something. Okay,
Right.
all right, I'm gonna show you. We'll see.
Right.
It's like I'll be back. Hold my beer. I don't drink anymore. Um,
Yeah.
but it's overall and to kind of circle back to how does this help other guys is like because it's just looking from the outside be like man what kind of advice can we get from this that would even help a regular guy
Mm-hmm.
is like honestly it's like a lot of the basic stuff he should have did honestly in this scenario like I said doing more vetting but before even vetting because here's the thing we attract what we are
Mm.
and if
You're
you're
saying it's
getting
like
nothing if you're
no
getting
way.
nothing but hoes probably
Yeah.
because you're a hoe.
Yeah.
If you're getting nothing but no good people, it's probably because you're a no good fucking person.
Mm.
If all your friends are drunks, it's because you're a fucking drunk.
This is true.
Sober people don't hang out with drunk people.
This is true.
They don't.
Yeah.
I never met somebody when I was working at bars that was like, "Oh, I don't drink anymore," and went and hung out with all the drunk guys and didn't have a fucking drink.
Yeah. For sure. It's
Never saw it.
it's unfortunate because it doesn't matter what status you're at.
Mhm.
These are that you always have the same problems.
Money just
You could
magnifies it.
have
Money
yeah, you could
magnifies
have
whatever issues you had before, whatever problems you had.
or what is it? Money doesn't make you into something that you aren't. It shows it exposes who you are,
Hmm.
kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's unfortunate because but I think it also kind of shows, and this is not really good or bad, but it shows that anybody can make money. Anybody can more or less not anybody, but like you have the potential to get to a certain status,
Hmm.
whether you are good or bad. As long as you're providing
Yep.
something, entertainment or education, who you are as an individual doesn't matter as much. And honestly, like it's more prevalent, or I would say it's especially prevalent, not more than anywhere else, but in sports,
Yeah.
because they more or less they want to root for a bad guy or quote unquote bad guy. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like if you start winning too much, they want to see you fall. And that has nothing to do with your character. They're
Yeah.
just tired of seeing you on the podium.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like no
Yeah.
matter as long as you're providing some type of entertainment or even education, it really doesn't matter type of person that you are. It's just like what type of skill are you providing to the masses?
Yeah.
And that's
Hmm.
unfortunate because then you're just going to get hangers on and people trying to ride your coattails or just trying to literally screw you out of your money. What was the thing with Izzy Adesanya? Where his girlfriend tried to leave him, or they weren't married, but tried to leave him after like a year, and was like, "Oh, I deserve $500,000 because I got used to a lifestyle." And it's like you spent a year with somebody, probably finding out their secrets, comforting them when they lost or when they were they successful, whatever. You're spending all of this time just to fuck them over in the end. That's crazy dedication just to somebody else's downfall. And this person may or may not have any idea, but like hopefully, like him, he put the stuff in place to be like his everything in
In his mama's
his
name.
network was in his mom's name. Yeah.
What was
And
that?
then
The Manny Fresh. Hey, Manny Fresh warned us, bro. Manny Fresh warned her. Got all my bills in my mama's name.
right, right. But then now she's got to pay him 500,000 for being honest, for actually caring about your ass. Now you got to pay him.
Hey,
That's poetic justice. But what is where do you think his career is going to go after this?
Shannon's.
Yeah. Like win, lose, or draw. What do you think the outcome is?
Mm,
Maybe legacy wise is the better question. I don't
I
know.
was about
But
to say
like
because he's gonna be famous regardless.
yeah, yeah. Infamous
Whether
now.
this is true or not, yeah, infamy is just a negative version of fame.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
but so he's gonna be famous regardless. Just like Diddy's famous. He's probably more famous now than he was probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, Legacy wise, I think right now he has an opportunity. I think right now he has the opportunity to really shift his legacy.
Hmm.
Um, will it work? Will people believe it? I don't know because it's almost like what is her name? She's with Kevin Gates now. Um,
Brittany
damn,
Reiner.
Brittany Reiner. Yeah, who's
And that was the
Muslim
chick
now.
that went to Russia, was in Russian jail, right?
No, 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 no. It's not Brittany Reiner. Kevin Gates, the rapper. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
um it's the chick who had the baby with the NBA player. Um,
That guy
Brittany
knows.
Brittany Reiner. Brittany
You know
Reiner.
what I said?
I don't know. I have no idea now. Yeah, it is Brittany Reiner. But no,
Yeah,
she wasn't in the NBA or anything like that. That chick was, you would definitely see the difference in those two. They don't
yeah,
look it's like that chick sounds like a dude. Um
yeah,
her voice is as deep as mine, which is fucking
yeah.
ridiculous.
Hmm.
But no, Brittany Reiner, she was, the quote unquote thought. She was like the 2020s like hip hop model, like hip hop video vixen type deal.
Okay,
She was that chick.
okay.
With the ball player, had a baby with the NBA player, was dating ball players and famous guys and everything. She was the one on the internet talking all the shit about like how to finesse ball players and NFL players because they're the easiest to finesse, and
And
how
he
she had,
married her,
her body count was like 23 or something like that at some point or
or he got with
um,
her. I
yeah,
didn't.
so she converted to Islam. I don't know if it was like 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. And now she's on the arm of Kevin Gates. Matter of fact, they were at the Lakers game when he went to the Lakers game and was sitting there looking at LeBron, waiting for him to start some shit. She was sitting right there on his arm.
Right.
Um,
And they
her
said,
her legacy is kind of written in stone at this point. With all the shit that she did, is
mhm,
like, can she change the trajectory of her life, the direction of her life? Yes, but is that place still going to live in people's minds who she was? Absolutely. And
right.
this is the same thing. Is like, can he change the direction of who he is? And like, in the next 6 months, we could see Shannon Sharpe get married. We could see him in the next 5 years starting to, have a kid and do
Yeah.
all these different things like that, and stop drinking and or do different things. Shit, he could go do like a Mason, go become a fucking pastor for all we know. Um,
Yeah.
but are some of these things going to live in people's heads about who he is? Yes.
Hmm.
Um, so I think he has an opportunity, but if he doesn't actually take this and actually probably make a big shift, I think it's at that turning point. It's like, because especially with the deal he has now, and how his life is at the
Yeah.
moment, and what he's being offered for, in his life. If he doesn't do some changing, he's gonna fuck it all up.
Yeah. For sure.
You know, it's like, I don't think he's gonna have the same opportunity that he would if he keeps going the same way right now that he's going, um, or has been going. Because I don't know if he's still doing it. Hopefully, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not going to have the same possibilities and opportunities, because a lot of these people in these high level places, um, although they're probably doing some of the same shit that he's doing or has been doing, they just don't want it out on Front Street.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, if you're gonna do your dirt, make sure it's behind the fucking, like you said, make sure it's behind doors.
Yeah.
Don't let that shit out. Is like, because it makes all of us look bad.
Yeah.
He's like, we're all doing the same shit as you, but we can't rock with you if people know that you're doing the shit.
Exactly. Exactly. I think two things for anybody who plans on being a professional athlete or wants to do anything like that, or just be in the public eye in any way, shape, or form. Two things for sure is to for sure like start looking at those. Start. I don't know why my brain thought of it like this, but like start studying the opposition. If there are women who say like this is how you get somebody famous, trapped, or whatever, like yo, start looking at them people
Oh, I
so
study
that you
those fucking
can,
videos.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
study those videos so that you can
How to
understand.
trap a man with a baby. Oh, okay.
Yeah, for real. You know what I mean?
Ah,
Like how to finesse a man out of a bag, one on one.
never use her condoms ever.
Right, right. Don't cash app her large amounts of money ever. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna be tricking, do it in person or however you do your business. But look out for those
Don't be
type
tricking.
of
Don't be
yeah, don't be tricking.
tricking. Don't
But
be tricking.
for sure, like start to study those. There should be a class. Who is it?
Deion Sanders did one.
That's a
Deion
yes.
Sanders, Brittany is the one
Was that his
Deion Sanders
class?
brought. He brought her in to talk about it. That's who he brought in. Was her.
Yes, yes.
And
That should be
she was the perfect candidate to do that shit too.
that should be a free seminar across the nation. That should,
You know, if she started a community or she started a course, she would make millions. She wouldn't have to worry about being broke.
she wouldn't even have to go to like a specific demographic to men or women. Just say what you got to say. Let everybody come listening to it. Somebody's paying for that information, whether it's how to trick somebody or how not to get tricked. And that's how you play both sides. That you just give
Wow.
information.
So you just want to go evil villain, huh? You just want to.
Look, man, we all got to eat somehow. It's
So
but look
you
how
just want to go God
valuable
of
it is.
War on them. It's like I sell guns to both sides, and if
Yeah,
they kill
look,
each other when they run out of bullets, I sell them both more bullets.
hey, information it's not good or bad information. It's just information. How you use it is how you use it. But everybody needs to be listening to her when it comes to like real talk. And you need, what was the second point? You need to there is something that I've been seeing a lot more where it's like you do need to have some type of agreement set like in writing these days for whatever you're doing.
You know, it's so funny that you see that now where it's where people are talking about it's like if you're gonna have you what was it? Somebody was like they started saying it was more like a feminist thing where they're like you have to ask permission to like engage with a woman,
Yeah,
type deal. But it is getting to the point where guys are gonna start like having contracts like, hey, it's like, yeah, baby. He's like, put on some nice music. It's like, yeah, you sit here, let me go get you a drink. And you come back
right,
with a fucking iPad.
right.
It's like, here's your wine, and I need you to
Just
read and
sign this
sign
real
this
quick.
for me.
Just yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, you can read, can't you? It's like, I need you to read first. I need you to read this sentence out loud.
Right.
Yep. Sound it out. There you go. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Uh, all right.
Initial
That's a good enough
fear.
level. Go ahead and read. It's real
Right, right.
basic. It's your basic. I'm a Rocky. I'm a knock your boots tonight. It's just, it's your basic. I'm smashing the cheeks.
Right.
Addendum and contract in
Well,
there.
sign
Um,
here, initial here. Here's a picture that which we agree to talk about, whatever. Like legit.
there is a fellatio addendum in there that I
Right.
definitely need you to sign.
Sign Article 6, paragraph subsection G. but but you like we joke, but this is a
But
serious.
seriously though, I mean, it's getting to that point where a lot of guys are starting to do that. It's not just
Yeah.
athletes and rappers that are doing that stuff now. I mean, there's so much
Well,
backlash with stuff and questionable like because all it really takes is as we see now. I mean, and we've seen over like the last 10 years, all it takes is an accusation. A
yeah,
lot of times it doesn't have to have any proof. I mean, how many guys have speaking of like famous guys like football players, NBA players, college athletes have lost their whole fucking career because somebody accused them of doing something that they didn't even do. And then
yeah.
after we find out that didn't actually happen, you don't see papers and news coming back on and being like, "Hey, we were wrong. We need to
Whoops.
retract this statement.
No.
We need to pay. We need to pay money for restitution for ruining. No, this guy was the number one athlete in the country, gets accused to do something, and was going to be the number one draft pick in the NFL, and
Yeah,
has lost 10 years of his life because he was fighting this thing, and now nobody wants to touch him because he's
yeah,
just tainted.
for sure. It does, and like we say, this is just the status that we're kind of coming from because
Yeah.
he's famous and all that stuff. But like I saw something on social media recently where it was just a guy who met somebody off of Tinder and they went out to eat and he was like, she was getting too drunk and was starting to embarrass him, so they ended up leaving. And so she's crying and snotting in the car, trying to apologize and all that stuff. And then when he was like, "Yo, I'm documenting all this because one, I just met you, you doing too much, and I need
Mm-hmm.
to be able to protect myself." And because she felt like she was about to be made into the bad guy, she even said on video, like, "I'm gonna call the cops. I'm gonna tell them that you tried to get me drunk and rape me and take me to the house and say if you didn't do this or that, then you was gonna get not kidnapped, but like just held up type of thing." And
Mm-hmm.
so when the police came, she get to spinning this story and all this stuff, and he showed all the evidence and video just to social media
Yeah.
before you saw that part where like even the cops didn't look like they believed her because like they could I guess smell the alcohol on her or whatever. But
Hmm.
like the average Joe needs to make sure that he's protecting himself for the same
Yeah.
exact reasons. You don't want to just get stopped because or you don't want to get in trouble because you're famous now. This could happen before you even think about getting famous, and you become
Yeah.
infamous for the wrong reasons.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So your life can get ruined behind just you thinking somebody's pretty and you feel like you want to be with them for a little bit. You know
But
what I
like I
mean?
said, I don't think we take the whole women and relationship thing seriously enough. Even if you're just out here fucking around, you gotta take this way more seriously, man, because you don't know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
To be honest about it, um, it's like there's a lot of guys that are out here just having fun that now are 20 years deep in raising a kid.
It's true.
Having to deal with this person that you absolutely, I have family members, you absolutely hate this
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
and you have to deal with them for the rest of your or their life.
Right.
This is like,
Whoever goes
like we
first.
talk about, it's not just 18. It's
Right.
not just 18 years. No, you're talking about birthdays, graduations, grandkids,
They're married.
weddings,
They're divorced.
divorces, hospital visits,
Yeah.
surgeries, vacations,
Yeah.
like christenings, all of these things. You are going to have to deal with this person in some
Hmm.
shape, form, or fashion for the rest of your life if you want to have
For real.
involvement at all.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and if you're running, you're gonna be running for the rest of your life because technology is getting real good. They'll find your ass.
For real.
But it's one of those things that we have to take. We as men have to get into the point where we're taking relationships as seriously as we are business ventures. It's like you don't sign up for a job not knowing what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
You don't sign up with somebody in a business without knowing what you're signing up for. Um, even when you're doing like even you're out here doing gig work, even if you're working for damn DoorDash, there's still a contract you got to sign.
Hmm.
You still got to read through. Hopefully, you read through it and know what you're getting into. You got to know what's expected and all these different things like that. We can afford in 2025 to not treat relationships and give them that same level of respect. To be really, even if you're out here, you want to just be a fuckboy.
Yeah.
Is you gotta be because like I said um otherwise you can find yourself in some situations that you don't want to be in.
We need to have a slogan that just says "Hoe responsibly."
Oh, responsibly.
Hoe responsibly. Legit. Because that's all it really takes. Just
Yeah,
find somebody who you feel like you can be comfortable enough. I almost don't feel like we can say that, but you just
I say
find someone you can trust.
become that person first.
Yes.
Don't worry
Yes.
about finding any fucking body until you
Right.
become that person.
This is true. This is true.
It's like because then all you're gonna find is you. Because if you haven't dealt with your issues and you're out here doing real ratchet stuff and you're not being not being the man you need to be, then you're gonna find a woman who's not being the woman that you want her to be. That's
Right.
all you're gonna find.
It's
And
true.
if you find a woman who is the woman you want to be, she's not gonna deal with you because of who you are.
Hmm.
It's not gonna last. So
You
either
can look up to
you're
somebody
gonna
and
go out here
fall.
and find exactly what you're looking for, or somebody's gonna figure out that you're not what they're looking for.
Right. You can look up into somebody of quality, and for some reason they happen to like your ass. But if you can't maintain that, if you can't prove that you're worth still being around and for the long term,
Hmm.
then yeah, then you're gonna split. And you're gonna be
Yeah.
sitting there wondering why. And then still not doing that introspection, not trying to figure out what type of person you want to be, not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing to get to that end goal or maintain what you do have,
Yeah.
and you're gonna end up just fucking it up. Like you said, chasing your own destruction.
Hmm.
No.
Yeah, because all we do is do damage. Hurt that saying hurt people is fact, bro. Is fact because the biggest epiphany I had, to start to wrap this up,
Hmm.
is in my relationships, the ones that didn't work out, the ones where like I got dumped or something crazy happened, and I was like the um I don't want to say beta in the suit, but I wasn't the one in control of the situation, and I was getting done dirty and different things like that.
Yeah.
When I looked full circle at all of my relationships, I was like, oop, hold up. All right, sorry about
You're
that.
good.
When I look full circle with all my relationships, I was like the ones, everything that was done to me, I had done at some point to
Yeah,
somebody else, to another, to a woman.
yeah.
Every single thing a woman had done to me, I had done to another, to some other woman in
Mm.
a previous relationship. Is like when I, broke up suddenly and was like, nah, I was like, I see them catching feelings. Let me just cut and run. Um, me not, really putting as much effort into it because, it's like they were cool, but I didn't see them as like, I don't want to say valuable, but it was, I could definitely, I held myself at a higher level than they were, and
Hmm.
I acted that way, and
Hmm.
at a certain level, not treating them bad or anything like that, but it was one of those things like,
You just
I
kind of
could take you,
tell.
I could take you or leave you. It doesn't, it's like if you left right now, it'd be a
Right.
type deal.
I
Um,
honestly, like, the thing that got me to turn my shit around was the same thing. Like, I had
mhm,
cheated on previous women, not my wife now, of course, but like she was the first one that I found after I stopped doing my dirt. So getting cheated on, like I said, like one of my exes, I still with my best friend, and then luckily it was with somebody who I didn't care that much about, but I could see the hurt that could have happened on
mhm,
the back end if it was somebody that I was like deeply in love with, been with for years and all this stuff. Like, so in that retrospect, I feel like I got off light. But in the same way, it's like, bro, I could see how bad I was more upset about how bad it could have been than how
mhm.
bad it actually was. And I was like, you know what? I need to stop moving foul. Like
Yeah,
that was the like, oh, this is not a cool feeling. I might need to calm my ass down and go do some shadow work or something. Like it was
yeah,
not, you know what I mean? So fixing yourself is how you fix your life's algorithm.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the trajectory of where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do. It's not hard to fix. You just need to know what to fix. And hopefully if you do enough, or at least start that process, like we're saying, you don't have to be in a situation where you can almost get everything that you monetarily or that you monetarily want, or like materialistically, but you still have this hole in you that you feel like you need to fill with young women's attention or cars or more money and all this other stuff.
Drugs,
Drugs, especially drugs,
attention.
alcohol, all of that,
Hmm.
all of that. So I feel
Yeah,
like
man.
this has been a really, really powerful conversation. I know we went off on some tangents. Definitely
Only a few.
appreciate the definitely appreciate the engagement with everybody that's watching. Shout out to my boy Emery again. Like I'm saying, man, he had some great insight, and I'm glad that you're watching and everything, and everybody else who was a part of this. We also want to say thank you because we've hit what is it, 812 subscribers now,
Yep,
and I feel like we don't give enough love to y'all in that regard. We appreciate you guys watching,
absolutely.
checking out our course and our community, the
Hmm.
Legion and the Eight Inner Gates.
Hmm.
This
Oh,
coming in,
one thing. One thing
yeah,
we do not say enough, and we need to start saying it more, is like and subscribe.
like,
Wait,
comment,
we
subscribe.
we don't we don't say it. We're trying to hit that 1,000, bro.
Yeah,
Guys, warriors, people, my fellow Romans and Romans. What
romance.
what 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 do they say?
It is
Um,
Romans, I think.
no. It was something different. It was like anyway, fellow public, fellow human beings,
Right,
fellow
right,
brethren.
right.
We're trying to hit that. We're not trying. We're shooting for that 1,000, that
It'll
first
happen.
1,000.
Yeah,
It's
before.
like, and we're looking at. I'm saying in the next 90 days, we want to hit that. We want to hit that
For sure.
1,000. That's what we're shooting for. So like and subscribe. Send this to your brother, your
Share.
uncle, your
Yeah.
cousin, your mama, your grandmama, your grandfather, that fuck boys, at the bar, sitting at the bar every weekend, trying to get some strange.
Yeah.
The guys like one thing I like about high school girls is
Ah,
they
jeez.
keep getting it's like I keep getting older and they stay the same age. That guy, definitely send this shit to him.
Yeah,
Because he
for
needs to
sure.
see it.
Yeah, man.
But definitely share and share this wealth, man, and definitely keep tuning in with us because we're gonna have more of these conversations because they're needed. They're
Yeah.
definitely needed in this circle because it's just real
Absolutely.
shit. It's real life. It's not a game.
Yeah, for real. So remember to check us out on all streaming platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, YouTube in general, all of our TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, Email us if you have questions, or if maybe you have a certain topic that you want us to talk about on the show or on one of these lives, or maybe you want to hop in and join the conversation. We are definitely open to that as well. All engagement is much loved and appreciated.
As long as you're
And
not a fuckboy. No
only if you're
fuckboys allowed.
not. Yeah. Come on and tell us why you think being a fuckboy is a good idea. We can prove you wrong, and
You got to
hopefully,
pass a background check first.
right.
Because
Yeah,
you're not gonna fuck this up for us. Just
for
saying.
real.
It's like I'll be the gatekeeper. You're not gonna fuck this up for us. It's like you're not doing. If anybody's gonna fuck it up, it's gonna be me. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, absolutely not. You're not gonna damage this. I'll break my own shit.
Right. And that's not winning, by the way. That needs more introspection.
It's not, but I play defense.
Yeah. Terrible defense. I'm gonna punch myself in the face. All right. Who really won?
You're not gonna knock me out. I'll knock myself out. Ha!
Right.
See how your record looks then? It was a tie.
Right. A tie. Okay. All right, and that will do it for us. But yeah, like, share, subscribe. We love the engagement and everything. And just remember, it's always better to be a warrior in a garden
than a gardener in a war.
We'll check you guys next time.
Last
Peace.
comment. All right, guys. All right, thanks, guys. Take it easy. See you guys next time.
Later.